Hello there, welcome to this episode of the Coach Pius Media Class. My name is Pius Nsabe, as always. I want us to talk about the use of the social media, particularly the Facebook, as a source of news. Now, so many people rely so much on information on the social media. So much so that they find it very hard to differentiate between the real substance and the fake substances out there. Now, one thing you must know is that, as the name implies, the social media, there is so much information out there, particularly in this era of artificial intelligence. When somebody who has the expertise to use the artificial intelligence, that is the AI, can just sit in the comfort of his room and concoct something with well-garnished videos and pictures. Okay? And you will think it is genuine. And so once it is posted, you pick the information and you fly with it. And we have seen a lot of people get misinformed. And while they are getting misinformed, they are also misinforming others. That is why it is called the social media. It purveys every kind of information, multiple information, some genuine, some fake. But as a journalist, how do you use the social media in getting information? It's very key because we are in the era of the social media. As media people, we live practically all our lives on the social media. We are either on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and so many others. And for each of these platforms, you have a barrage of information, some of which are genuine, most of which are false. But as a media person, how do you leverage the social media to get the necessary information that you need to publish? Now, while the social media, for what it is, serves as a platform for everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, there are some basic things you must know about the use of the social media as a source of news, particularly. Now, the first thing is that it is not every information you get on the social media that is genuine. You must always have that at the back of your mind. Because like I said, there are people who can sit in the comfort of their homes and doctor information, make it look or sound so real, so authentic, that if you are not careful, you begin to purvey the same information to other people in the hope that you are passing a message. Meanwhile, you are passing falsehood. I don't even want us to go into the legality of passing falsehood. That one is an entire lecture of its own. But how do we make use of the social media as journalists? Well, it's simple, but again, not so simple. What you must know is that when you get or you stumble on any information on the social media, there is what we call verification in our journalism parlance. How do you verify that a story you have found on the social media is authentic? For instance, somebody can come to post that somebody is dead on the social media. Now, if, for example, you are a reporter or you are an editor on duty and you stumble on such information, what do? You go ahead and publish because you found it on the social media, right? Yeah, there is this temptation to do so because you see every other person, reacting to that story. You see people share the stories, you see people comment on the story as if the story is authentic. And so there is this likelihood for you to want to join the bandwagon. But that is where you are different as a journalist and you must show your professionalism at that point in time. What do? Simple. There are some platforms that I call conventional platforms. Okay, we know them. I don't want to start mentioning the names. But you know those conventional newspapers, those ones that are recognized, okay, in terms of credibility, in terms of trustworthiness, in terms of recognition, they have it. The same with television stations and of course radio stations that are registered, they have address, they are well known, they employ professionals. Now, when you see such stories on the social media, you don't go ahead and break. You don't go ahead and share. What do? You must do all you can to verify from these reliable sources that I just talked about. There is no way you will have a story that is so important that by the time you check it in any of these newspapers or television stations, their online, platforms, or even some major radio stations, you will not find that story there. If it is breaking and you can only find it on the social media, please don't go ahead and publish. Hold on. Particularly if you do not have somebody to call and confirm. Because like I said, there are too many fake stories out there that appear genuine. And if you are not careful, you will be misled. So don't always be in a hurry to publish stories you find on the social media. Okay? Fine, the social media has its own advantage in that it serves as a lead. Okay? But it is only a means to an end. It is not the end itself. It only gives you an idea of something that has happened. Oh, so person who has been in detention has been released. Oh, so person who has been, kidnapped or abducted has regained freedom. When you see it on the social media, what do? You don't go ahead and publish. You try to verify from credible sources. If it is stories that have to do with a global outlook, you know where to find them. If it is stories that have to do with local or national outlook, you know how to find them. If it is a story that has to do with the state or local government at the grassroots, there are various mediums that should carry these stories and make them authentic. Otherwise, you will always put yourself in trouble. As a matter of fact, even if you find it on one so-called authentic platform, you still have to, apply some due diligence. Okay? Because we've seen situations where some well-recognized news platforms carried certain stories. After some time, they had to recant. Okay? They had to go back on those stories because the sources they got those stories from were actually not credible at the end of the day. But in that, quest to be the first to break the news, they had to carry stories that they were not meant to carry in the first place. Okay? So the bottom line here is that while the social media is very key in terms of giving you the lead to some stories, it should never be relied upon as a credible source of news stories for you to publish as a young editor, as a young reporter. Always do your due diligence. Compare notes with other veritable news platforms around you. And that way, you will be very, very safe. Well, I hope you have learned one or two things from this particular class. If you have not been following Coach Pius Media class, please kindly do so. Go to my YouTube page, subscribe, for there is so much more we need to talk about.